Yo, what's going on everybody? So Boruto episode 137 is done in the books, and this is obviously going to be one of those transition episodes. I know these are basically hit or miss with a lot of the fandom, and so I got to keep it real with you. This isn't going to be an episode that's going to be high up on my list of episodes, but I will say that I understand what the writers for this episode were trying to do. I understand where Kodachi is trying to kind of steer this, and if you guys look at it really closely, they're actually connecting more than just Sumire joining the scientific ninja weapons team from the manga into the anime. There's also a little bit of revelation about Katasuke. Now I won't go any further than that for the anime onlys because I don't want to spoil you guys on it, but what I will say is that the whole reason why Naruto's building this larger facility is really important, because Naruto and Shikamaru and the other higher-ups, they have their suspicions, but they don't have complete confirmation about the other factors that were involved when it comes to Katasuke and how he was acting during the Chunin exams when he was manipulating Boruto. And that's stuff that won't actually get confirmed until we get to the Majina Bandits arc, which is going to be starting in 2020. So you're actually getting set up for some of the stuff that happens in the Majina Bandits arc in this episode, and you're also getting set up for the Owl arc that takes place after the Majina Bandits. Whether or not that gets adapted in 2020, that remains to be seen, though there is some information coming out of Jump Fiesta that essentially we might be getting the Owl arc in 2020 as well. So moving forward, though, I gotta say, so they went with this whole theme of basically trying to teach the audience and teach Team 15 that sometimes when you lose something, you have to lose something in order to grow. Sometimes change isn't necessarily the bad thing. Sometimes when the door shuts, sometimes something even greater is waiting for you. And that's what they're trying to establish with this Tsubaki character and her interactions with Namida and with Wasabi. And I totally understand where they're going with on that, but I think that part of the reason why this just didn't fully connect with me, even though I understood the theme that the episode was going for, is I felt like this was a watered down attempt at what you got with Team 7 back during the early part of part 2 of Naruto, where you had Sai get introduced, and Sai came off as this super detestable, unlikable character. Team 7 didn't fully embrace him. There was some tension there, and I felt like they're trying to do it and adapt it more into a peacetime setting. And while I understand the craft reason for that, the difference is I felt like Sai, even though I don't like Sai's character, I felt like during that time Sai got a stronger emotional reaction out of me. And I think part of the reason why this doesn't connect as well is when it comes to Team 15, we've gotten little pinches of information about them here or there. We got to see them during the Jugo arc recently, but I personally don't feel enough of a connection to Team 15 in order to have this new character Tsubaki be someone who's despised or someone who's creating all this conflict because she's essentially taking Sumire's spot on the team. Now, what I will say is, like, looking in hindsight, they did try and build up to this moment, giving us little small snapshots of what happens with Team 15. You know, Team 15's been put into the spotlight the most after the Inoshika trio and after Team 7. So on one hand, I do feel like they were trying to build up to this, but I don't think the execution was there. Like, when it comes to Tsubaki's character, I like the design. Those eyebrows are a little thick, but I understand what they're going for with that, with the whole samurai look. But one thing I felt like could have made this episode better is I really feel like they're missing an opportunity to kind of expound more on the political nature of the Naruto series, because like when you go back to the Hidden Mist field trip arc, like during that arc you find out in a very small scene that the Land of Water and the Land of Fire, they weren't in agreement on a treaty, and that they were essentially on the brink of war, and that the Hidden Leaf Village Ninja and the Mist Village Ninja didn't want to go to war with each other, but it would be unavoidable if the feudal lord declared it. And so I felt like that was a missed opportunity when it comes to this episode, because you have Mifune, who's basically telling his prize student in Tsubaki, like, hey, I need you to go to Konoha, I need you to embrace being in the Land of Fire, we need to restore the Land of Iron. Like, I really would have liked to have gotten more of a snapshot into her time there, because it would give us a greater sense of her pride as a samurai. It would give us a greater sense of what is actually driving her as a character. I mean, I'll be the very first person to say that I subscribe to the whole writing practice of when you tell a story, sometimes less is better, okay? Like sometimes less is more. Instead of just going into vivid detail about the desk that's in the corner, you start with the fact that it's a desk, you give a few small details, and then over time you reveal more. But I don't think it works here with this character Tsubaki, and I'll explain to you guys why. So when you get this small tease that, okay, she's in the Thunderburger store, she's about to fight with Sarda's getting really pissed off. She's like, I don't really like these spineless shinobi. You're trying to soothe everything over. Sarda looks like she's about to punch her shit in, and then Tsubaki says like, you don't want me to draw my sword. Well, this is the thing, right? Like, I felt like they were definitely trying to telegraph the fact that she's got this snowstorm attack that she's able to use when she draws her sword. It's a really cool attack, but the problem is I don't think that her just making these small threats of you don't want me to draw my sword is enough to pay off that moment right there. I don't think that's enough. Like, this is one of the rare moments where I really feel like we needed flashbacks here. I really feel like we needed flashbacks. I feel like if they were gonna have this super powerful attack, okay, that's able to cause all this damage to the immediate area, okay, big flashy gust of wind, a little miniature tornado rips the trees out the ground, clears out a portion of the clearing, looks like it's a few meters. Like, let's be real for a second, okay? Like, if she was gonna debut something like that, I feel like there should have been a bit of buildup. We see the consequences of Team 15 interfering with Hanabi's mission, okay? Hanabi scolds them. They break the rules when it comes to not engaging when they're not on an official mission. Like, we saw a bit of consequence there. We saw a bit of payoff to that moment when Wasabi decides this is our opportunity to go after these criminals that Hanabi is chasing down. Now when it comes to Tsubaki basically unsheathing her sword, I felt like there should have been something there. Like, I felt like we should have seen flashbacks of maybe this was a technique that she was learning how to use, but maybe she even mastered it, but it was something that was forbidden and she can't use it unless there's a major reason for it. Like, say with the inner gates, it could have been something as simple as that, where Rock Lee was about to use the hidden lotus on Sasuke and Mike Guy steps in and says, you know, you can't use that technique unless it falls under a certain parameter, right? And then you get the reveal later on in the tuning exams what that is. That way when Rock Lee uses it again, you're not as shocked. Like, I feel like they could have taken a bit of inspiration from that part right there. Again, I don't think that was enough where we just basically see her unsheath her sword and that's absolutely it. Like, I felt like a self-imposed rule like that could have been the reason. The other thing is I felt like they could have also made it go the route of this was a technique that she had mastered, and where it was one of those situational situations where she was able to master it in the moment when she had to protect somebody close to her. Like, that could have worked, because you see Team 15, the new Team 15 over time starting to get close as they're interacting, and you see the walls and the layers that are around Tsubaki start to crack down, especially when it gets that moment where Namida says, I don't think that you can just measure the conviction of a shinobi based off of a few interactions that you had. Like, I felt like there should have been a little more than that. And when it comes to the whole going away party and everything, like, again, I'm not a huge fan of that. I understand why they need to go that route though, because Sumire is a popular character, so you do need to center off in fashion. You know, the one thing I personally would have liked to see, I would have liked to have seen somebody from the Scientific Ninjas team, somebody from that group kind of walk her out of there. That way we actually see her walking into her new chapter of her life, like kind of ending it with the party part. I don't think that was a good enough payoff. I felt like there needed to be just a little bit more there. Now, what I also will say is I did like the I guess you could call it the post-credit scene, where after everything's done you get this moment where you actually see Tsubaki and she's eating the french fries and she's like, oh, I think I could get used to being in this land of shinobi. Like, I thought that was cool to kind of see the layers kind of continue to come down on the character. Like, but for me, again, I'm not as interested in her character as I was hoping to be, because I'm a huge sucker for world building, and yet when it comes to this character, like, I don't feel like they gave us enough to get invested. So I'm hoping when it comes to the future, because she will show back up in the future more than likely, so what I'm hoping when it comes to the future is we get a little bit more to the character. We get a little bit more about what makes her tick. Like, having her take pride in her samurai heritage, that's cool. Having her look down at the shinobi culture, you didn't need to just repeat it over and over. It's like, okay, we get it. We totally get it. Like, this is one of those times where this was a really good idea, but I don't think it was executed best. Now, I know somebody's gonna say, oh, you're trashing the episode. It's not necessarily that I'm trashing the episode. Like, the way these reviews go is I highlight what works well, I highlight what doesn't work well, and I give suggestions on what could have been done better and how it could have been done better. Like, I'm not gonna call this a bad episode. I'm just gonna call this one of those episodes where it's important to watch parts of it, but it's not gonna be an episode that I personally am gonna come back to. But I want to know from you guys, how do you guys feel the character of Tsubaki was handled? Do you think that she's a adequate replacement for Sumire? And most importantly, do you think that there was something that could have been done better with the character? Do you think that my assessment that she maybe needed to have a self-imposed rule when it comes to unsheathing her sword, do you think that could have done something better for her character? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.